Long before scientific exploration, humanity tried to make sense of the deep ocean's vast and terrifying unknown through stories, myths, and art. The Greeks imagined their seas filled with monstrous beings, a six-headed creature lurking in narrow straits and Charybdis, a whirlpool that could devour entire ships. These weren't just fantasy. They reflected genuine fear of what lay beneath the surface. The Kraken, popularized later by Nordic legends, was first depicted in rudimentary form by sailors who likely encountered giant squid, but lacked the knowledge to describe them biologically. In ancient Egypt and Mesopotamia, the seas were seen as chaotic forces to be respected and feared. Tiamat, the Babylonian goddess of saltwater, was said to be a monstrous embodiment of the ocean's raw power. The Chinese described dragon kings ruling underwater palaces, while Japanese folklore included the terrifying Yumabuzu, a sea spirit that capsized boats if angered. Even the Pacific Islanders shared oral traditions of sea spirits and giant marine guardians. Medieval Europeans continued the trend of merging fear with myth. Bestier's illustrated manuscripts combining observation and imaginations showed fantastical creatures mapped directly onto coastlines. It was common to see phrases like, "Here be dragons," warning of unexplored marine zones. These maps often reflected religious and superstitious beliefs rather than actual encounters, reinforcing the idea that the ocean was not just a natural barrier, but a realm of mythical danger. As the age of exploration dawned in the 15th century, European sailors pushed beyond familiar coastlines into uncharted oceans. With primitive navigation tools, limited understanding of marine biology, and terrifying storms, it's no surprise that many returned with stories of monstrous beings. Christopher Columbus himself recorded a sighting of mermaids near the Dominican Republic in 1493, creatures later identified as manatees, misinterpreted in the fog of curiosity and fear. During this period, the seas became both the source of wealth and deep unease. Sailors' tales were filled with accounts of serpentine beasts dragging ships under, glowing-eyed leviathans circling their vessels, and humanoid figures singing from the waves. These accounts weren't isolated. See charts from the Time Show. Detailed illustrations of monstrous beings in the North Atlantic, off the coast of Africa, and near the Arctic. The rise of whaling also brought encounters with massive creatures, whales, oarfish, and giant rays that sailors often mistook for supernatural entities. Some early naturalists attempted to bring order to the chaos. In the 16th and 17th centuries, scholars like Conrad Gessner and Ulysses Aldrovandi began compiling natural history texts that included both real animals and mythical ones, showing the blurry line between observed nature and sailor lore. Carl Linnaeus, the father of modern taxonomy, even briefly included creatures like the Hydra in early versions of his classification system before rejecting them based on lack of evidence. This era solidified the dual identity of the ocean, a place of economic opportunity and awe-inspiring danger, where myth and science coexisted in a fog of saltwater mystery. It laid the foundation for future marine exploration while keeping the imagination of humanity deeply tethered to the fantastical. The 18th and 19th centuries marked a major turning point in how humans perceived the ocean. The Enlightenment brought a wave of scientific curiosity that began to erode the dominance of myth and superstition. Instead of fearing the sea as a domain of monsters, scholars and explorers now sought to understand it through observation, classification, and rational inquiry. Naturalists and biologists took to the shores and shallow waters with nets, jars, and microscopes. They began identifying marine life forms not as demons or omens, but as organisms with specific traits and ecological roles. The age of taxonomy flourished with figures like Carl Linnaeus, who revolutionized biology by classifying plants and animals according to a standardized system. Though he originally considered mythical creatures in his early works, he soon removed them in favor of verified specimens, setting a precedent for scientific rigor. The real breakthrough came with the ability to explore deeper waters. In the mid-1800s, technological advances allowed for dredging from deeper parts of the ocean floor. Researchers hauled up bizarre, alien-like creatures no one had ever seen before: gelatinous blobs, eyeless fish, and tentacled horrors. These discoveries challenged the prevailing theory of the time that life could not exist in the dark. High-pressure depths of the ocean, known as the Azoic Zone. But nothing compared to the transformative impact of the HMS Challenger expedition 1872 to 1876. Funded by the British government and led by scientist Charles Wyville Thomson. This voyage became the first systematic exploration of the deep sea. Over 4 years, the Challenger traveled nearly 70,000 nautical miles, collected thousands of marine specimens, and measured ocean temperatures, currents, and depths. The expedition confirmed that deep-sea life not only existed but was staggeringly diverse. More than 4,000 new species were discovered, including strange bioluminescent organisms and life forms adapted to crushing pressures. For the first time, the deep ocean was revealed not as a lifeless void, but as a thriving alien world beneath the waves. The early 20th century saw exploration go even deeper, powered by innovation and a spirit of discovery. One of the most significant milestones was the invention of the bathysphere in the 1930s. Designed by engineer Otis Barton and used by naturalist William Beebe. This round steel submersible was lowered by cable into the deep ocean off Bermuda. Beebe and Barton made history when they descended over 3,000 feet into the ocean, becoming the first humans to directly observe deep-sea creatures in their natural environment, from their tiny portholes. They described creatures that shimmered with light, had transparent skin, or featured grotesquely elongated limbs and jaws. While some of their descriptions were initially met with skepticism, later explorations confirmed the existence of many such beings. These live encounters were crucial. No longer did scientists have to rely solely on netted specimens, distorted and damaged by pressure changes as they were pulled to the surface world. War II also contributed indirectly to deep-sea exploration. The development of sonar technology, originally intended to detect submarines, allowed scientists to map the ocean floor with unprecedented precision. These sonar images revealed deep trenches, underwater mountains, and massive ridges dramatically, changing our understanding of Earth's geology and the ocean's scale. One of the most profound discoveries was the confirmation of the Mariana Trench. It's the deepest part of the world's oceans. Meanwhile, submarines and diving bells became increasingly sophisticated, allowing for deeper and longer underwater journeys. Deep-sea creatures were now photographed, studied, and cataloged, not just imagined. Public fascination grew as these once mythical beings were depicted in scientific journals and magazines. The line between myth and biology had been redrawn. This period also marked the ocean's entry into popular culture. Writers like Jules Verne, whose novel 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea imagined a world teeming with undiscovered marine life, inspired generations to wonder what lay beneath the waves. The groundwork had been laid. Science was now fully in pursuit of the deep ocean's secrets. And the strangest creatures ever imagined were turning out to be real. The mid-20th century brought not only a space race, but also a deep-sea race, largely fueled by Cold War rivalries and a surge in scientific ambition. As superpowers vied for technological dominance, the ocean floor became one of the most uncharted territories worth exploring, not just for science, but also for military advantage. Amid this climate of competition, one of the most astonishing feats in ocean exploration took place in 1960. The bathyscaphe Trieste, a deep-diving submersible developed by Swiss engineer Auguste Piccard and operated by the U.S. Navy, made a historic journey to the Challenger Deep, the deepest known point of the Mariana Trench. Piloted by Jacques Piccard, Auguste's son, and U.S. Navy Lieutenant Don Walsh, the Trieste descended nearly 36,000 feet, reaching the ocean's greatest depth. What they saw astounded them. Not a barren, lifeless abyss, but signs of living organisms, including what appeared to be a flatfish gliding along the seafloor. While later, scientists debated the exact nature of this sighting. The descent proved beyond doubt that life could thrive in the most extreme depths. Simultaneously, oceanographic institutions began to flourish. Organizations like the Woods Hole Oceanographic Institution, Hui and Scripps Institution of Oceanography attracted top scientists and funding. Their research ships and newly designed submersibles helped map the seafloor, discover thermal vents, and investigate deep-sea biology. Marine biologists started identifying new species with regularity, from glow-in-the-dark jellyfish to grotesque anglerfish. With massive jaws and lures on their heads, this era also birthed the environmental movement. As scientists gained a deeper appreciation for ocean biodiversity, they also raised alarms about human impact. Oil spills, overfishing, and pollution threatened delicate deep-sea ecosystems that had remained undisturbed for millennia. The deep sea was no longer just a frontier, it had become a fragile ecosystem worthy of protection. The arrival of the remotely operated vehicle ROV revolutionized deep ocean exploration. The arrival of the remotely operated vehicle ROV revolutionized deep ocean exploration. Unlike manned submersibles, ROVs could dive deeper, stay submerged longer, and maneuver through extreme terrain without risking human lives. As technology advanced, these robotic explorers became equipped with high-resolution cameras, robotic arms, and environmental sensors, enabling scientists to observe deep-sea creatures in their habitats like never before. Among the most groundbreaking discoveries was the existence of hydrothermal vent ecosystems, first documented by the submersible Alvin in 1977 and further explored in the following decades. Found near volcanic rifts in the ocean floor, these vents spewed mineral-rich, superheated water. Scientists had long believed that all life on Earth depended on sunlight at around these vents. They found ecosystems powered by chemosynthesis, a process in which bacteria convert chemical energy from the vents into life-sustaining nutrients. Entire communities of never-before-seen organisms thrived in this alien environment. Giant tube worms with red plumes, white crabs, eyeless shrimp, and enormous clams lived in total darkness, immune to the crushing pressure and high temperatures. The discovery overturned long-held assumptions about biology and gave rise to theories about life's potential on other planets or moons with similar conditions. Like Europa or Enceladus, ROVs also help capture footage of some of the ocean's most mysterious and previously mythical creatures. Giant squid, once the stuff of legend, were filmed in their natural environment, gliding through the abyss with immense tentacles trailing behind them. Cameras recorded bizarre creatures like the vampire squid, Dumbo, octopus, goblin shark, and burrell, fish with transparent heads. These beings looked more like aliens than earthly life forms, proof of the ocean's evolutionary wonders. By the early 2000s, deep-sea exploration had become more accessible and systematic. Universities, government agencies, and even private foundations launched missions to collect data, discover new species, and better understand the complex, interconnected systems of the ocean's deepest zones. What had once been feared as a void of monsters was now celebrated as one of the most mysterious and biodiverse realms on the planet. As we entered the 21st century, deep-sea exploration entered a bold new era driven by cutting-edge technology, global collaboration, and rising public fascination. Remotely operated vehicles, ROVs, became more sophisticated, now equipped with Ultra HD cameras, advanced sonar mapping tools, and live streaming capabilities. These advances allowed scientists and, for the first time, the general public to witness the hidden life of the deep in real time. One of the most transformative developments has been the use of autonomous underwater vehicles, AUVs, and AI-assisted mapping. which allow exploration of areas that our OVs and human-piloted vehicles cannot reach. This has led to the mapping of mid-ocean ridges, abyssal plains, and mysterious trenches in detail never seen before. In 2020, for example, the 5 Deeps expedition successfully mapped the deepest points in all 5 oceans using state-of-the-art sonar and dive technology, discovering new species and geological formations along the way. Each year, new creatures are identified, some so bizarre that they defy categorization. The faceless fish found off Australia's coast has no visible eyes or mouth. The UFO jellyfish, recorded by NOAA's Okeanos Explorer, pulsates like an alien spacecraft in the deep dark. Other recent discoveries include the headless chicken monster, a swimming sea cucumber, glow-in-the-dark sharks, and gelatinous predators that resemble floating galaxies. Despite all this progress, over 80% of the ocean remains unexplored. Some of the most extreme environments, like the Hadal Trenches and underwater volcanoes, are still being mapped. Marine biologists estimate that millions of deep-sea species have yet to be discovered. But with this intrigue also comes risk. Deep-sea mining, now being proposed by several nations, threatens to destroy habitats and kill off species that haven't even been cataloged. Meanwhile, public interest in the deep has surged. Viral videos, documentaries like Blue Planet, The Deep Ocean, and YouTube channels dedicated to strange sea creatures have brought the mysteries of the deep into everyday conversations. For many, the ocean has replaced space as the final frontier, a reminder that some of Earth's greatest wonders remain hidden in its dark, silent depths. The deep ocean has always captivated the human imagination, not just as a realm of monsters, but as a mirror reflecting our fears, fantasies, and insatiable curiosity. From the myths of ancient civilizations to modern deep-sea footage broadcast to millions, the way we view the ocean's depths has transformed profoundly across history. But one thing has never changed: the sense of awe it inspires. Culturally, deep-sea creatures have shaped literature, folklore, art, and film. From Jules Verne's Nautilus and Herman Melville's Moby Dick, to modern depictions of abyssal aliens in science fiction and horror films, the ocean's unknowns remain a fertile ground for storytelling. These creatures symbolize the limits of human knowledge, the fear of the unknown, and the beauty of life in its strangest forms. Scientifically, TC research has spurred breakthroughs in genetics, medicine, and engineering. For instance, enzymes found in extremophile bacteria from deep-sea vents are used in biotechnology. Bioluminescence from deep creatures has influenced medical imaging and cancer research. The study of deep-sea adaptations has even inspired innovations in robotics, pressure-resistant materials, and submarine design. But perhaps most importantly, the deep ocean reminds us of Earth's fragility, as climate change, overfishing, and pollution threaten marine ecosystems. The need to protect unexplored habitats has never been more urgent. Conservationists are now advocating for deep-sea sanctuaries, international treaties against seabed mining, and the ethical study of rare species before they vanish. In the end, the creatures of the deep are not just scientific curiosities. They are living symbols of our planet's diversity, endurance, and mystery. They challenge us to keep exploring, keep questioning, and above all, to respect the unknown.